tune in, that means you're feeling the vibe. The bell rung, you already been subscribed. Right now, the queen, she on live. Please pull over the whip, no phoning when you drive. Dope Soul sporting with the talk. First lady from New York, Brooklyn. All my people, you rocking with the chat. Hit that. The like button would tell me where you at.
Hello, Knick family. Welcome to Lunchtime Live, Knicks recap and reaction show. New York Knicks beat the Memphis Grizzlies at Madison Square Garden. What was that? 133 to 120. I think the final score was closer than the game. I think the Knicks had a 28 or 30-point lead at some point in last night's game. The fourth quarter was a hot mess for the Knicks as far as shooting was concerned. I think they shot 22% from the field, 25% from three. And still wind up winning the game. I think Memphis got within 10, and then Brunson hit a three to pretty much close it out. But the Knicks that was their fifth game in a row. They're unbeaten at home. Tonight, we'll talk about that later, is a different challenge for the Knicks. But Jeff, how are you?
Great. I actually got to watch the game in its entirety. It's not very often I get to do that. So I was pretty excited. I didn't have anything on it's like I'm in my room. I got my remote. I got the MSG broadcast. I was in the zone, and that 19-0 run to start in the first half was a thing of beauty. And Memphis started to hit some shots in the fourth quarter when we started to miss, and it kind of narrowed the gap. But that was my biggest takeaway, was Jalen Brunson's response after the game. He was like, we have a lot that we have to clean up. We didn't come with the same intensity and purpose and at the end of the game, and that, and we need to be able to finish stronger. And I think it may end up hurting us that we didn't get to put in the garbage time brigade, for the last 6 minutes. But not that they got overly taxed, but it would have been nice to not have as large a minutes load, if with a game coming against a tough defensive team like the Magic tonight.
Yeah, and the Magic haven't been as great defensively this year as they were last year, but we know that potential is there for them. And regardless of what your offensive and defensive rating is, in one particular game, you can always turn it up, regardless of how you've been playing up to that point. So I do agree with you. It'll be somewhat of a test tonight. The Knicks' good shooting continues. I mean, they shot 40%, 48% for the game, 40% from three, despite that putrid fourth quarter shooting, that I spoke about. They put up 55 3-pointers. They hit 22 of them. They shot 40% from three, despite OG Anunoby shooting 1 for 10. Everybody else was 21 of 44 from the field. Just a blistering night from three. I think everybody hit a three, but one person, maybe Yabusele. Everybody else hit a 3-pointer. Talk to me about the Knicks shooting despite the fourth quarter. What did you see?
Well, I think it's sustainable because, first of all, 40% is not 65, 70%. Like, you'll have some nights when you're really on a bender. And so I think the quality of the shots has been tremendous. Even in the fourth quarter, I thought they got a lot of good looks. I think they just kind of regressed to the mean, which is kind of to be expected. I mean, they were really hot for a long time, but they're generating the right amount of looks. The spray and pray is really doing what it's designed to do. And I actually think they can be even better. Like, I still think that maybe I'm crazy because we've had first time in franchise history with 130 plus points, 3 games in a row. I think we're leaving meat on the bone. I think there were definitely opportunities in transition and plays that we didn't maximize. As you mentioned, OG was 1 for 10 from the field. Cat shot the ball well from 3-point range, but he didn't really have a good night from inside the arc. I mean, he was fantastic. I'm not dogging. I'm just saying for him, 4 of 9 inside the arc is a bad night, right? It's less than we expect. He can do better. And so you have all of this, and you just feel like the engine's running smooth, but it's got another gear or two it could kick up to. And if it is able to do that, NBA, watch out.
Yeah, I mean the offense really looks good. I thought the defense was good last night. I thought it was much more active. Um, Memphis had 22 turnovers. I think they averaged about 14, but they had 22. And I think the Knicks had a lot to do with those 22 turnovers. You know, sometimes teams just are sloppy with the ball and unforced turnovers. But I thought the Knicks activity, particularly with their hands, had a lot to do with those 22 turnovers Memphis had. And then the Knicks scored 33 points, you know, off of those turnovers. The Knicks are not great in pace. I think they're 25th in pace coming into the game. But last night, they was just running up and down the court. It was it to me, to the eye test, looked like they were playing really fast and just switching ends really, really quickly. Yeah, talk to me about what you saw for them. Yeah, just defensively and in transition.
You know, that's a great point. Two of the standout plays of the night for me was when the Knicks missed a shot. I think both times were in transition. And one time Bridges came back and blocked the shot. And another time OG came back and blocked a shot. They didn't even look like they were in the play. And they hustled back and they stopped the transition the other direction, which is outstanding. And you're seeing a lot more like if you look at Towns, he really stuffed the stat sheet with those ancillary stats, as Ron Stilton fan likes to say. Bridges, again, really dense with those ancillary. And OG was plus 24 despite going 1 for 10 for 3, in large part because of the job that he did defensively. And if this guy is not on the all defensive, all NBA team this year, then their nomination process is flawed. Because he's been incredible. I mean, incredible to the eye test on the defensive end. He's in the middle of everything. He's disruptive. I mean, and this was without Mitchell Robinson, right? And I thought we did a really good job. You know, and the turnovers were the difference in the game. I think they turned it over 22 times. Is that what you said?
22.
That's a lot. And
we points off those turnovers too. That's significant.
Yes. And I think at one point in the third quarter, they had 0 points off of the turnovers the Knicks had. And we didn't have 0. We had like 10. But that speaks again to what you were talking about, getting back in transition and working well defensively. I thought it was Jalen Brunson's best defensive game in a while. I thought he really did a good job on the ball. He was really active. And how about Karl Anthony Towns blitzing a pick and roll? I have never seen that. I don't think we ever did that under Tom Thibodeau. So he was calling for the blitz, but it worked. He hounded Moran into a tie ball, and then you know that's like cheating, right? On the you're going to get that possession, and so really, really good job defensively. I mean, they're not a really good shooting team, and they did get 120 points. They definitely got hot after a 4 of 19 start from 3. I think they heated up and hit 10 of their last 16. So they progressed to the mean, so to speak. But I thought the Knicks did a good job all around, and I kind of think that we did, put it into coast mode. At the end of the third quarter, we just kind of felt like, oh, we got this. And then, oh, yeah, we do have to kind of keep playing here, guys. It's a 48-minute game. This is not hockey with 3 periods.
Right. And I think that's a good lesson for them. I mean, they know it anyway, but to experience it yet again, I think is good. To your point on the defensive end, I thought the Knicks rotations were just sharp. Like they just got to where they needed to go. I think it was McBride, might have been Shamet that was in the post with a big, might have been Jaren Jackson. And Brunson's recognition just came right over and doubled, if they can play defense like that, consistently. I know we're 10th in defensive rating coming into the game. I'm not particularly sold on their defense. I'm really sold on their offense. But if they continue to play defensively like they played last night, I will be sold on it pretty quickly. I thought it was good. The other thing that stood out, 2 things. I like that Yabusele is getting the bench minutes when Mitch is out. To me, I just feel like you have to give him every opportunity that you can. Front him some minutes and see what happens. He had 15 minutes last night, only 2 points, 6 rebounds. Took 3 shots, hit 1, plus 13 for those who are into. I'm not a big plus minus person, but for those who are, that was the 3rd best, highest plus minus, on the team. I feel for him when he's out there. Like, I feel for him because I know, like, you look at him on Twitter, he's like the ultimate teammate, right? Always put great win. We about to do it tonight. Like, whatever he's putting out, on Twitter. He was super happy to come here. He's not getting the minutes. When he does get the minutes, he's not really doing what we thought he would do. I don't know. I just feel for him. I just hope that things break for him as the season progresses. Who knows? He's eligible to be traded December 15th. I don't know if there'll be a market for him. We have to think about that as well. But hopefully things come around. And just in terms of the bench itself, 32 points. I said, wow, the bench played well. They had 32 points. Then I looked and saw Memphis had 55. But still, I thought the bench was efficient. McBride was efficient. Shamet was efficient. Clarkson was efficient. Again, he was 17 minutes, 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 5 from the 3-point line, 3 rebounds, 2 assists. I just like the way, Clarkson is settling in. Talk to me about the bench last night.
Well, it's kind of, I thought that it was not great in a lot of ways. I mean, the numbers you said are fine, but I kind of felt like every time the bench was in the game, the lead shrunk. I don't know, maybe that's just an imagination on my part, but if you look at Towns plus minus and you look at Bridges plus minus, I know that's not everything, but it was much lower than that of theirs, and that's because they played a lot with the second unit. In my opinion, McBride.
But you can expect that, right? The second unit is not going to play like the first unit. That's why they're the second unit.
Right. But I mean, the drop off was significant, though. I mean, you'd like to at least it be, a little bit closer, I think, than minus 20. But and look, the part of that is how Memphis plays their guys. Like that coach really, like, he thinks it's a hockey game. He puts in three new guys and 3 new guys and 3 new guys. And so they play a lot of guys a ton of minutes. So that's part of it as well. So those stats are a little bit deceiving. Jordan Clarkson did what Jordan Clarkson can do for this team. I think he became the 6th highest bench scorer of all time in that game. So kudos to him. 10th. I'm sorry.
10th. He passed Vinny Microwave Johnson last night.
That's a big time name to pass, though. For someone who grew up watching Vinny Johnson, that's a player I've always held in high esteem. So to mention in the same breath in the same company is good for Clarkson. Efficient Clarkson is playable Clarkson. Like last night, I thought he was really good. He seems to have a good handle on what we're trying to do offensively. And I'm keeping in mind something that you and Lee told me at the beginning in training camp, and that's that he hasn't played with players this good in a long time. And sometimes when you play with better players, you get better. You know what I mean? He's not the first option, even when he's on the bench unit. There's usually someone who's better than him, so he has a lot more freedom, a lot more space, and he's using that space to great effect. And he's giving effort on defense as well. I like Clarkson and Cat lineups, and I also like Clarkson and Brunson lineups. I thought Clarkson and Brunson were surprisingly effective together last night. So that was an interesting wrinkle and look that the coach brought through. I said last night on Twitter, he still looks like Yabu the Hutt to me. He's kind of still in quicksand, but I was encouraged by what I saw. Yabusele's getting better. I think that Coach Brown said that he and Towns had the biggest adjustment of what to learn, and I think we're seeing a little bit of that. I'm not sure he was in the best basketball shape for what this team wants him to do, and so he's kind of having to transform his body in the middle of trying to be efficient and struggling with his shot, and so you have all of these things, but as someone who's not a Yabu fan, I actually think Yabusele is going to be fine. I think he's trending in the right direction. He's projecting in the right way. But my concern is that when Yabusele and Towns are on the court together, there's absolutely no rim protection. And Memphis certainly took advantage of that last night when that combo was in the game. They really were able to attack the rim and get easy shots. So that is a concern, and it's one we're going to have to battle with all season long, because it looks like Robinson is, every third game kind of a player at this point. And so if that's the case, you're going to have to live with minutes with Yabu and Cat on the floor and learn to have them coexist. Now, hopefully, when OG plays super well, you can limit that. I mean, and he's been phenomenal, even with a terrible shooting performance. He was terrific. And Towns, I was surprised that he shot below 50%, and I was surprised that his plus minus wasn't better, because he looked like a monster on the court all night long. His comfort level in the offense looks much better. He's getting those drives that we've seen and punishing teams with powerful dunks from the top of the key. That's always a good indicator that things are going well for him. He knocked down some threes. He pulled 8 3-point attempts, which is high for him. I think a lot of games.
Sherman is upset. That's why he's not even listening.
He made 3 of them, though. That's good. I mean, that's 38%. That's we'll take that every day of the week and twice on Sunday. So Memphis is not a good team. They've been struggling, but everybody gives their best when they come to MSG, and to continue the win streak the way that we did is really, really fun. I mean, again, competition hasn't been really stout during this win streak, so it's not like you can say, oh, well, we're beating up on San Antonio and Houston and Oklahoma City, but you can only play the teams that are in front of you, and when you take care of business, you win by 10 plus points, and you got 30 plus assists for the 5th straight game, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And we were 24-4 when we 24-4 last year when we had 30 plus assists. But after January 1st, it seemed like we only had like 5 of those games. So I'm curious to see how we do if we're able to continue this style and pace as the season progresses. Are we going to continue to be able to share the ball and hit shots and those things? And I don't say that we can. I think that we can, but it'll be curious to see, that we stick with it. And I think it's important because, Brunson had a great night, but he also still had 6 turnovers, right? I mean, he was efficient, 11 of 19, 32 points, 10 assists, which we love to see. The assist numbers are up for during this win streak. So you're seeing he's getting used to playing this new style, which is less of those difficult shots in the paint that he's kind of been known for of late, and more catch and shoot 3-point opportunities and those sorts of things. But he was crucial down the stretch. He kind of came back in with like 6 minutes left. It was only like a 10-point game, and he just kind of made sure that we kept him at arm's length. So kudos to Jalen on a really good game.
Yeah, the Knicks didn't shoot well in that 4th quarter, but Jalen, if I remember correctly, was 2 of 3 overall, 2 of 2 from the 2-point line, 4 of 4 from the free throw line. I think if I'm not mistaken, he took all 4 of his free throws in that 4th quarter, and made all 4 of them. He was the guy. He was the guy last night, but he had 32 points, but didn't look like he was dominating the game, right? He just got his 32 points within the flow of the game. So, that's always good. And it's just good to know that when we do need him to step up, that even though he hasn't been dominating the ball, he's able to do that, right? Sometimes you wonder, how is he going to still be able to come through in the clutch when you're not lathered up because you were dominating the ball all game? And last night he was able to do that. So hopefully that continues. You mentioned the streak. There's a few more, right? The 5-game winning streak, the 7-game home win streak, the 3rd straight game with 130 points, and a league leading 7 40-point quarters. So, offensively, the Knicks are finding their groove. Again, we're going to play tougher competition. Tonight, we're going to go up against some length. we play, you know, a lot, or we play 3 guard lineups. So I'm interested to see how those 3 guard lineups perform against the length of Orlando. I'm looking forward to see how our offense plays against Miami, who's top, I think, 5 coming into the week. They may have played a game or so since then. 5 in defensive rating, top 10 in opponent field goal percentage and opponent 3-point percentage, right? So it's when you're playing against a team that's not great defensively and you get your first option and you're wide open, it's very different than when you have to, go through, to your second and third, option against really good defensive teams. So it's going to be interesting to see how that, how we fare against both Orlando and Miami, who again presents different challenges. But, I like Mike Brown, back to back. He elected to, Mitchell Robinson is not playing back to backs at this point. He probably won't play back to backs the entire season. But I like not choosing which game you're going to play him in, right? It's not always the first game, and choosing to play him in the second game against Orlando, where their length is a problem. You're right, 3, 4, and 5. They're pretty lengthy. So I like that with him. I like taking, taking guys out and giving the bench the opportunity to, see what they can do. He did bring Brunson back in. Just what are you seeing from Mike Brown last night? And if you want to throw in overall, you can do that.
Well, I think his tenet to get the ball across the timeline in 3 seconds, so you have 21 full seconds to operate your offense, is going to help you regardless of, you know what I mean? Because that way you get to run through your sets more times. And we all know that the ball moves faster than the player. So if you can run 3, 4 full revolutions of whatever it is that you want to do, you're more likely to get a good shot because they're more likely to miss a rotation or, or something like that. So I think that even though we're not, we're still bottom third of the league in pace, the fact that we're attacking quickly and then getting into our shot, we're not really, we're not 7 seconds or less Mike D'Antoni. Like, we've seen that before. And it would be kind of fun to see what Mike D'Antoni would do with a team like this, just because, they certainly have the horses to do some stuff like that, which would be fun. But I think Mike Brown is really squeezing a lot out of this team early on. They seem to be getting the concepts and doing well with it. Memphis in that fourth quarter kind of started to figure things out a little bit. And I'm wondering if that had, they were literally not guarding Josh Hart at all. Like, it's, if you saw certain possessions, they were just literally, it's just like, we're guarding these 4 guys. And if Josh Hart does something, then so be it. And, Hart had a decent game. He had, I think, 8, 4, and 8 or something like that. So it was a Josh Hart game. I liked his playmaking. He had a couple of really superb passes. I think Hart's settling in. I think he's really playing well. And he had 30 minutes last night. I thought that was interesting too. And if you noticed, I think one of the big adjustments is, Kolek's been banished, right, in favor of these other guys doing secondary playmaking. The first, I think, 3 or 4 games of the year, he was getting a consistent 13, 14 minutes, and he hasn't even blessed the court, I don't think, except in garbage time. During this entire win streak. So I think that Brown is trusting his veteran players more. And he's saying, look, I don't need a traditional point guard out on the floor. I have enough between McCall, between Clarkson, between Deuce, I have enough as a backup, and secondary ball handlers together to man that position properly. And right now it's working. So, it's tough to argue with the results of, 330 point games in a row is crazy. And I think that's the first of many. I think this team is going to have a lot of nights where they're just tough to stop. And we didn't even dominate the offensive glass as much as we have in other games too. And when we have that rolling, then that's another arena where we can, win that possession game. And that's that's a similarity between Browns and Tibbs. They do it in different ways, but those extra possessions, getting those extra shots, 10, 12 extra shots, trying to, whether it be you force more turnovers or you get offensive rebounds, whatever the case may be, they really are extra attempts to score the ball matter. Like, it's just the way that it is. In certain sense, it's a volume game.
14 more shots. They took 84 shots. The Knicks took 98. Like, that's significant. So that even if you're not even if the other team shoots better, again, you're putting up more shots. It gives you
shooting decently. Like, they didn't have a great night from inside the arc, but I mean, they shot 49, I think it was like 48-40, and with a decent percentage at the foul line, 80% or so at those stripes. So I mean, you can't be minus 14 shots when your opponent is shooting that well. It's just really difficult. That we saw that.
I mean, they shot better than us from overall, but to your point, you can shoot 50% and take 2 shots. I could shoot 25% and take 10 shots. I
still got more points than you, right?
I still got more, more points than you. So you're right, And not only that, the Knicks still, like, I thought offensive rebounding wouldn't be. I thought it was gravy. But when you hear Mike Brown talks, that's part of his formula in terms of the possession, as far as the possession battle is concerned. The Knicks just had 10. I say just. They're number 1, I believe, in offensive rebounding in the league. They had 10 last night, but they had 18 second chance points to Memphis 7. So, like, they are really taking advantage of the of the second chance, of the offensive rebounds that they do get, turning them into second chance points. And when you have a team that's shooting well and you're getting offensive rebounds and you're getting second chance point, like, you're converting them, and you're putting up a franchise record 55 3-pointers. That's a franchise record. And you're shooting 40. You shot 40. You hit 40% of them. I mean, the offense is clicking on all cylinders. The shooting, which was not great to say the least to start the season, has really come around.
We kind of figured that would progress to the mean, though. I mean, they're just better. Like, everybody who was shooting below their career numbers, and that type of stuff tends not to, not to continue. People just, if you're a 40% career shooter, you usually, and you've been shooting 20 for 6 games, you're probably going to have some games where you're shooting 60, right? And so, but again, if you're taking that kind of volume and you're shooting anywhere between 35 and 40%, is probably going to get you, where you need to be. Last night it was 40 with OG being 1 for 10. So, and you don't expect that to continue, right? But maybe some others fall off or what have you. But and this is a team that has a lot of weapons, right? They're very potent offensively, and so he's utilizing the talent well so far, and it's working. So
and they're responding. And Clarkson is not even, like, these bench minutes are not even a lot. Like, it's like 14, other than Hart, 14, 16. I think last night Deuce had, let me look at the bench minutes. Hart had 30. Yabusele had 15. McBride had 16. Clarkson had 17. So
I was a little bit surprised with McBride's number, considering that Shamet started. Yeah, I thought he would have gotten closer to 25. McBride's minutes have been down, though. He hasn't really. When was the last time he topped 20 minutes? Was it 3 games ago?
It may have been, and then also that Shamet is starting over him. But sometimes that doesn't matter. Like, Shamet may start. And then, there was a game, I think, where Shamet started and McBride ended up playing more minutes than he did. But yeah, McBride's minutes through the season, I don't know what he's averaging, maybe 18 if I'm guessing, maybe 18 minutes. per game. Shaman is definitely more prominent in this rotation than I thought he would be to start the season. Mike Brown seems to really like him. The issue I have with both Shaman and McBride is they get wide open, and it's either they hot one or they're not. That's it. Like, give me 3 or 5 every game, please. Instead of 4 or 5 one game and 0-4-6 the next. Both of them, you don't know. They're historically, career-wise, good 3-point shooters, right? Off the catch. But the consistency to me from the eye is just not there from game to game. You just don't know. One thing I will say about Deuce, though, if he has a bad shooting night, rest assured that next night they going down.
He doesn't have 2 in a row usually.
Yeah. He's not going to have two in a row of bad shooting nights. But both of them to me are just like inconsistent from night to night.
Yeah, you can't. They're not either one where you're reliable. Oh, okay, we know he's going to get this, and then shooting variance is part of it. So I get it from a certain standpoint, but it sure would be nice if you could just pencil McBride in for 2 threes a night, and Landry in for 2 threes a night instead of, as you said, 4 one night and 0 the next. And then is this a 5 McBride 3 night, or is this a 1 McBride 3 night? Like what can we get by with it, or can we not? So that I understand the frustration, especially because they're both undersized players defensively, right. And so they're good defenders, both of them. Don't get me wrong, but they're both undersized. So when they're not making shots, it really limits their effectiveness on the court, because there's only so much they can do outside of that. And so with those 2 guys specifically, I think it's really, make some shots, because we need 3 and D, not just D.
Yeah. When Shaman hit his first shot, I was like, thank you.
I mean, he shot well all night. I think he was 5 of 10 from the field, although strangely he was like minus 11.
He was the only negative plus minus for those that are into plus minus. He was a negative 11 on the night. But when the shots went in, and he was just really confident though. Like he had an opportunity, I think it was in that first quarter, to take a shot like mid range, and he just backed up behind the 3-point line and let it fly. And I said, wow, now that's a confident move. Like he's confident, which is good.
Not only that, but that's the smart move, right? Because you're talking about points per possession, right? You always want to take the 3 is always preferred over the long or the mid-range too. Right. And so to me, that's having your head in the game and understanding what Mike Brown wants to do. We either want to be shooting 3-pointers or getting to the rim and either getting fouled or putting them in from in close. Those we want to eliminate the mid-range from our shot diet as much as we can. Although we did see Bridges kind of go into his mid-range bag 2 or 3 times last night.
I mean, I think you want to do it, but to the point where you're not changing players' games, though. Right. Like Mikal Bridges and Brunson are mid-range assassins. So you gotta. I feel like there has to be some balance there. I get what you're saying statistically, but I don't think you want to take that out of Mikal Bridges' hands, particularly if he's hitting it historically at a high percentage. And the same thing for Brunson. As well, though I think he's taken the most threes he's taken in his career, percentage of shots from 3 this season. And I get it. But I don't know. I just think there's a fine line there if you have players who shoot it at a high percentage.
But I think that the changing of the shot diet is as much because we're not playing at an increased pace. So clearly the changing of the shot diet is injecting some juice, some added fuel into this offense that it didn't have a season ago. But I kind of agree with you. During the playoffs, when things get tough, sometimes you're going to need that, that from guys like, that's why Clarkson is so intriguing, right? Because, historically he's been a good player as far as those types of shots. We know that Brunson can do that. We know that, Cat can often do that. Actually, I think OG hit like a 10, 11 footer from the baseline. I was like, I didn't even know that was part of his game. I was like, for what's he doing shooting that? But he made it. I was like, man, that's interesting. Don't see it, but because it was an anomaly because we just don't take those types of shots very often. Right. Whereas, you saw Memphis last night. I think Wells in particular seemed like every shot he took was that mid-range 16-footer from the baseline, and you live with that shot. He made a bunch of them, but as a defense, you definitely live with that shot.
Yeah, for sure. I want to get to the chat. I just want to see if there's anything else I want to, I like Towns last night with the drive. I just like Towns' recognition of late. Who's slow-footed that I can drive on? Who do I need to take down in the post? When should I take my three? Sharon, what do you think? He took 8 threes last night. 8 threes. And hit 3 of them. Towns was with a double-double, 20 points, 10 rebounds. I think he also had 3 steals last night. And Brunson with a double-double, 30 points, or was it 32 points? 30 or 32 points, 10 assists, 5 rebounds, as well. And as great as OG and Mikal has been playing, it's still important that our 2 best players play well also, and they're coming into their own as well. Let me get to the chat. The Art Man, formerly known as Steve, appreciate you always rocking with us. Peace and blessings, y'all. Knicks are on a roll. The Magic aren't pushovers, despite the fact that they're 5-6. Right? You don't want to be the team, the get right team Tylenol, as I like to say, where, teams come in and they get right with you, right? The Magic aren't pushovers. We got to come in and punch them in the mouth from the jump ball, keep elevating, have a great rest of the day, and God bless. Appreciate you, Art Man, formerly known as Steven. You're right. And the Knicks have been handling business, though. Despite the fourth quarter slacking a little bit, the way they came out against the Nets, the way they came out against Memphis is like, you're not a good team. That's on you. You struggle in Memphis, despite the fact that you have some talent. That's on you. And I anticipate they take that same approach tonight versus Orlando. That's a 7 p.m. game, by the way, family, on ESPN. I hope it's also on MSG. Probably not. I'll see. All right. If the season ended today, is Brunson an all-star? I think so. But I get it. If it's based on, points per game, I know his points per game are down. Maybe not. But wait, when you're 17, when you're 7-3 on a 5-game lose, if it ended today, I'm gonna say yes. Okay. All right. Walter White, Brown said Mitch is cleared for increased minutes. Okay. All right. Let's see. Deuce is just inconsistent offensively. Yeah.
Although the other night when he didn't shoot well, he did have 3 assists and no turnovers. So I want to make sure that
if you're not going to shoot well, definitely add in other areas. Andrew K., you're right, Steph. Deuce is shooting 18 minutes per game. Not shooting, is getting 18 minutes per game for November, down from 29 minutes in October. Yeah. I like Shamet. He battles defensively and can shoot it. I don't know, JJ. He's still a little inconsistent shooting as well. And he gets wide open shots.
Yeah, ain't nobody within a half mile of him when he catches the ball.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly.
I think he's shooting about 40% from beyond the arc this year. So, I mean, that's what you want if you're going to get out.
I get it, Jeff. I can't just deal with the 80% one game and 30% the next, but I get it. It averages out. I get it. Sherman, good afternoon. Stop it, please. Mike Brown is doing Tibbs things. OG and Bridges are playing at their best. Stop the Tibbs bashing. You know what? I thought about this last night. I think Mike Brown is different in the ways in which at least I wanted Tibbs to be different, right? And I said this when we hired Mike Brown, and that's schematically, right? Offensively, defensively, lineups, flexibility in lineups. And I think we're getting that from him, right? So I feel like that's the difference. We need it, and we're getting that from him. Shortening the rotation is Tibbs like. Because you're not going to convince me that Tibbs wouldn't have played 9 on this particular team. I believe he would have. And there's times when he's been here when he has played 9, right? So I think in terms of shortening a rotation, like Tibbs understood that from the beginning. We need the reps. We need a tight rotation. Guys need to know when they come in, when they come out, who they're playing with. Mike Brown wanted to experiment a little bit. He's a new coach. That's fine. But he came to that place. 9 players. And then also with the young players. Oh, our young guys need to Tibbs not playing the young guys. He's not giving them a chance. Oh, good. We got Mike Brown now. He's going to develop their same shit. They not playing. They not playing. Right? Because you're trying to win a championship and you can't lean on young players. Now, throughout the course of the season, will they get spot minutes? I'm sure they will. But he's not leaning on them just like Thibodeau didn't lean on them. You know, he's detail-oriented from what I understand, just like Thibodeau was detail-oriented. But he's different in the ways in which we need him to be different. Offense, defensive schemes, and minutes, lineups. He's different in that respect. And that's what we need. And that's what I was hoping for. Because whenever you make a coaching change, you're not guaranteed to keep your floor. You know what I mean? That's not a guarantee that you're going to keep your floor. And I feel like the Knicks have kept their floor and they've raised their ceilings with the changes that Mike Brown has brought. And that's the best case scenario. Now, it's 10 games. You know, we're going to play tougher competition. Let's see where that goes. And I'm interested to see Mike Brown in the playoffs in terms of in-game adjustments, between game adjustments, and things of that. So we're not going to know that about him until we get to the playoffs. But up to this point, and I'll say it again, the areas in which I felt like I needed him to be different from Tibbs, he's different from him. But to your point, Sharon, there's some certain things, and the way he's utilizing, well, that's lineups. That's lineups. Geoff, any comment on that?
Or just, you know, we haven't won a road game yet. You know, we've been dominant at home, but we're 0-3 on the road. So how is he going to get these guys to play effectively on the road? And I know that injuries and some other things were factors there early in the season, but you know, Brown is different than Thibodeau, but you know, good coaches have a lot of similarities, right? Because basketball is not a reinvention of the wheel. You know, most good teams have similar pieces, parts, and functionalities to them. And so those who choose to see the similarities are going to, and those who want to see it as completely different are going to. And the truth lies somewhere in the middle. But you know, the different things that he's doing so far on offense are working well, and he's utilizing this team in a way that they didn't before. And so we'll get a bigger sample size, and but again, 7-3 is a good start, and it's easier to get where you want to go when you start off well, and we're a work in progress, and I think it was Josh Hart that said, I'd rather be learning and going through growing pains while we win than learning and going through growing pains when we lose. And I think that rings true, especially with this group, because it's highly talented and they should be winning 65-70%. There's a lot of talent in this team, and it is very deep. And I do think it's interesting that even when a guy like Landry Shamet starts, you see the bench guys getting between 15 and 18. Like a regular bench. You're not getting the 4-minute, stint now. Everybody kind of has a regular. 9 guys are going to play, and they're all going to get 10 plus minutes, and so.
What you could do with 9, it's hard to do with 10. That's where you get the 5, 6, 8 minutes. It's just hard to do with 10.
Yeah, and so But Clarkson deserves to play, Deuce deserves to play, and and when Shamit's not starting, he deserves to play. So you've got a lot of versatility, and it's a lot of 3-guard lineups. I know JJ hates it when we play small, but I
don't
think
think we have a choice though.
Yeah, that's just a reality of our situation. You're going to see a lot this year, and I don't think it's necessarily a problem based on how the NBA is right now. So and look, the Knicks have only played 3 road games, so it's not like it's a huge deal that they're 0-3 on the road. It's they're gonna win games away from MSG too. But I love that we've been dominant at MSG. I've been wanting that to happen for the longest time, and I think it was funny because last night they talked about the last time we were this dominant at home was when Steve Novak was on the team, and we went 10-0 to start the year in the 54-win season with Melo. And so, we want it to end differently, but if we have a regular season like that, I think all of us will be quite pleased. And it is a mark of a team when they can respond at home and they're able to protect their home floor. And I think it's especially true at Madison Square Garden because you don't get an off night at MSG. Everybody is going to come to MSG and bring their A game. You'll have nights where people go to the FedEx Forum and nobody cares, right? It's just another gym. Like there are a lot of gyms like that are in the NBA, but Madison Square Garden's not like that. You are like, even Ja, you could tell Ja didn't play great, but he was more active, more intense, more involved because he was at Madison Square Garden. He knows those lights are on and they're bright. Look at Cam Spencer, who played his college ball at UConn and Rutgers, so he's from the area. He had a terrific game last night. I thought he was one of the catalysts for them to get them back in the game. So you're going to get these performances from guys who normally are, run-of-the-mill or scrub players who are going to come out and perform on the biggest stage. And to answer that with 7-0, I think that's significant.
For sure. Let me get to the rest of the chat before we get out of here. Shout out to Greg. Appreciate you. We have no wins on the road. That needs to change. Yep. And I think, and it will. It will. But Jeff is right. Knicks got to get it together on the road eventually. What's good, Ron? What's good, Knick family? Salute to the chat. Salute to Jeff and myself. We appreciate you. Steph, I agree with you 100% on Mike Brown. Yeah, I mean he's different in the ways we need him to be different, or at least I needed him to be different. JJ, Knicks were smart saving Mitch for tonight. Shout out to Ajay. Good call on that. Yeah, we did the preview show and Ajay talked about that. I like Bully Cat. Even with the 8 3-pointers. All right, I think we got everybody. Shout out to the Man Cave podcast. Appreciate you rocking with us. Anytime you want to drop in on Thursday nights, feel free. Andrew K, D Ross, we appreciate you. Sherwin, of course.
Kareem Grant was in the 36 on the back of that now. Salute, bud.
Kareem Grant, appreciate you. Wonder Woman in the house, appreciate you. Dwayne Dennis, looking good despite allowing Grizzlies to get back into the game. We were way out in front of them, but they must be careful with that against more established teams. You're absolutely right. You are absolutely right. And I believe they will be. Shout out to Wiz, BKLA. We are ahead of schedule offensively, and we are still not completely clicking. Defense needs more time. I agree with that. OG and McCall are magnificent. I mean, OG's rebounds is up almost every game from last season, and McCall's assists, I think he had 7 assists last night. Like, whoever drafted McCall in fantasy, whoever drafted OG, McCall, and Wemby in fantasy, if you got all 3 of them on your team, you running through your league.
That's a wrap. You got that trio.
For sure. All right. Oh, it's 127. Any last words, Jeff?
Let's beat the Magic. Sega Baba Blues is always a concern of mine. That's part of my PTSD. So let's come out. And the Magic aren't a good 3-point shooting team. So this should be, even though it's second night, it should be an opportunity for us to get another win. But, we've kind of had, we kind of had we had like one game in 5 days, it felt like, and now we're gonna have 3 and 4. So it's time to ramp it up and get going. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to win tonight. I'm gonna miss the game live, so I'm gonna have to catch up for tomorrow's lunchtime live, but I'll be here and ready to go. What time we going on? 11 or 11:30? 12:30.
11:30 your time.
Okay.
Yes, smash that like button, fellas, ladies, if you haven't already. The replay game, definitely hit the like button, leave a comment. I've replied to every comment since the beginning of the season. Okay.
Wow.
I'm gonna try to,
MVP right there. She getting them ancillary stats like OG right there. She like, I can't let Anunoby be the only one.
Right. I'm gonna try to keep it up. I definitely appreciate you guys. Geoff, always a pleasure rocking with you. We got 2 shows tomorrow, lunchtime live recap at 12:30, and then the weekly show at 9 o'clock. Peace, family.
Sister, you're one of a kind.
Yes.
Oh, sister, it's time you
That's her.
shine.